Hey, well, good morning, everyone. We are on the, brink of history, I guess. When I wrote this devotional the other day, I was in the eve of the election, and my hope was we would know, but it's 2020. And so it's the day after election day, and we don't know. Uh, so we all understand with this election, there is a lot at stake. No matter what your political leanings are, there are emotions that uh, go beyond any other election that we've been part of in history. And now, uh, more than ever before, I can't think of a more important time for Christians to live by the power of the Holy Spirit. And what I mean by that is if your candidate won, or will win, I guess, shall I say, don't gloat, don't rub it in, don't be annoying, don't be haughty, don't be self righteous, don't think that your candidate's going to fix all the problems we have in this country. That will be our tendency, though. Okay, that's what our natural tendency would be. And if your candidate loses, okay, don't complain, don't cry, don't make excuses, don't make threats, don't bash the next presidents. These two guys have bashed each other enough for a lifetime. Again, those will be our natural tendencies with emotions so high here. Instead, understand this. Understand that God is in control, even when it feels like he's not. And we need to pray for whoever becomes our president. Look, being humble, loving, caring, trusting in God, praying for our enemies is not our natural tendency. It's just not, especially in the face of such a chaotic time. This type of behavior, okay, can only be done through the power of the Holy Spirit in us. If you want to break free from our natural sinful tendencies, and we're going to get tested in the next day or so, if you want to stand apart from the crowd, well, hold fast to these two truths, or these two verses I'll give you that speak of one truth, actually. They both come out of the book of Romans. Okay. First one is Romans 6:6. It says this, and we know that our old sinful selves were crucified with Christ, and says, so that sin may lose its power in our lives, that we are no longer slaves to sin. Okay. Through the power of the Spirit, we're no longer slaves to sin. A couple chapters later, in chapter 8 of Romans, he writes, verse 2, and because you belong to him, belong to Christ, the power of the life-giving Spirit has freed you from the power of sin. That leads to death. We can be, okay, Christians, we can be a godly witness, no matter who wins the election, okay? And the truth is, as a follower of Jesus, we are called, okay, by God to be that godly witness, no matter who wins, okay? Living by the power of the Holy Spirit, we can make a difference. Really can. Let me just leave you with one other verse to think about to encourage you during this time. It's one of my favorite verses. You probably know it as well. Romans 8:28. It says, "And if we know that for those who love God, it says all things work together for the good. All things work together for good for those who are called according to his purposes." That idea of all things, I love this illustration. Um, if you take, if you're baking and you take flour and eat that by itself, that's kind of disgusting. If you take the lard or the Crisco or whatever you're using and you eat that, that's kind of disgusting. If you take the salt that you use and just eat that, that's just kind of disgusting. But when you take all those things, okay, and throw in some chocolate chips, and you mix all those things together, okay, man, you got some cookie dough. Now, I don't allow people in my house to eat cookie dough. I know they do, but the cookie should be baked and come to its full potential before eating. But the cookie dough is good. I have to admit that. But the point is that all things, some of them good, some of them not so good, for God's people, they all come together and they work together because God is in control, right? And with that, okay, and the power of the Holy Spirit in you, well, we have real power. We have real power. Live that out in the midst of this crazy year. Peace out, Pastor John.